Welcome. What's up, everybody? We got people flooding in. Welcome to the Food Truck Beast Food Truck Masters panel Q&A. I've gone back and forth on that name a couple times, whether to call you guys Food Truck Masters, Food Truck Experts, but we got people piling in. Oh man, welcome everybody. We got 47, 48, 53, 55. Numbers keep on climbing. So lots of people hopping in here. We'll give everybody a few minutes. I apologize for getting things started a little bit late. One of our panelists is having an issue being able to log in. So if you guys see me a little bit distracted, I might be trying to do some stuff here on the back end to get them in. If we're unable to do it, we'll just have to have them on another time. But wanted to officially say welcome to everybody. My name is Max. I am the founder of Food Truck Beast. I also have a podcast by the same name, Food Truck Beast, and manage two food truck groups on Facebook, Food Truck Must-Haves, and then also Food Truck Beast. And so what Food Truck Beast is all about is we are a community where we are trying to help food truck owners, become beasts and really become their best selves and really live their dreams that they're chasing and going after with their food trucks. And so the way that we do that over here is we use software, we use community, and we also use processes. And so with me here today, I have three of our panelists who do very similar things, but we all have our own different niches. And I've met these guys over the years and wanted to invite them in to be able to talk with all of you, answer some of your questions, because they all have a ton of expertise. So on my screen, I'm going to go from left to right of who's on my screen. So starting with Nick. Nick is the founder of WTF, Where's the Food Truck, which is a really useful app for getting your food truck out there. And it also does a myriad of other things. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll let Nick do that. Next up, we have Tito Garza. Pronouncing that right, Tito?
You got it, buddy.
Awesome. So Tito, he is the man. Tito started a food truck with $70. Okay, so he started the industry with $70, and from there grew into a food truck, and now has multiple brick and mortar restaurants going for him. So Tito is the man. He knows processes. He knows food trucks. He's going to have a lot of the answers to all of your guys' questions, and very glad to have you here, Tito. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it was my wife's $70, so it wasn't mine. But she it's important that I distinguish that. And
so Tito started with $0. Let's be official there. And correct me if I'm wrong. At the time, was she your wife?
No, girlfriend at the gym. I was just this kind of in shape guy at a gym, attracted to this girl, and I was just this broke bum. I'm like, hey, I want to start a food truck. So just slung tacos from a cooler on the side of the road and had some luck. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tito. We appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. And then we have Brandon. Brandon is one of the co-founders of Nom Nom Ninja. He is also a co-host of the Entrepreneur podcast, a new recently launched podcast. I definitely recommend you guys going and giving him a listen as he shares his story about launching his food truck and different experiences and challenges and how they've overcome that. He also has a really fantastic food truck app called Food Ease, which he'll be able to tell you guys more about and how that can help you grow your food truck business. So welcome, Brandon. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, Max, I appreciate it. It's a pleasure, man. Thanks for connecting and setting this up.
Yeah. And then last but not least, he's not here, but I think we're probably going to have to get him on another time, or maybe I'll be able to get him in here later. His name is Jeremy. And Jeremy, he started a YouTube channel called Food Truck Coach. And Jeremy, he owns Brody's Barbecue, and he has been able to be very successful, multiple trailers with that, and also doing a little bit of franchise model with his brand as well. So welcome everybody, giving you guys some time to hop on. Man, we have a ton of people here today. When I announced this event, I announced it just 2 weeks ago. And then actually last week, I think it was last Monday, is when I started, allowing you guys to register. And in that period of time, we've had over 200 people register for this event. So one of the reasons why we are doing this, why the panelists are here, why I'm here, is because I think we all agree that there is a fragmentation in the food truck industry. It's hard to get information, and it's hard to get really solid information. And so we all come together, and we want to pull together resources and give you guys an opportunity to learn from the best in the business. And we're really all trying to focus on unifying it a little bit. And so without any further ado, I do want to get into our Q&A topic. And so the topic we're going to be discussing today is enhancing the customer experience. Now, when I say that, that's pretty broad, pretty general, because there's a lot of different things that you can do in your food truck to enhance the experience for your customers. That could be in your marketing, where people are interacting with you for the very first time, right? Is where they see the marketing. So I want you guys to think about, as you're thinking about different questions, what questions would you have maybe around marketing? And then once you market to them and they see your food truck and they approach your food truck, how can you enhance the experience? Maybe it's with your menu, coming up with better images, better descriptions. How long is your line? How long are people having to wait for your food? That all ties into the customer experience. And then, of course, they pay, they get their food, they take that bite. What is that experience like? Is the food hot? Is it cold? Is it look beautiful and appetizing? And then last but not least, what I consider the final piece of the customer experience is, how are you following up with your customers? How are you getting them to come back to your truck or your trailer or your food tent? How are you getting reviews? What kind of interaction do you have in place? So think about different questions you may have around those different categories of enhancing the customer experience, and get those going. Now, we got about 90 people here. So I want to say, shout out in the chat here. Where are you guys from? Let's see where everybody's coming in from. And start putting your questions in the chat. Let me know where you guys are from. And Jeremy, welcome. We do have Jeremy who was able to hop on. Hey, Jeremy, we're excited you're able to join us. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
There we go. Now I got audio and everything. All right.
Perfect. Well, I already did an introduction, but Jeremy here, as I mentioned, is Brody's Barbecue, and they've been extremely successful with their trucks and trailers. Welcome, Jeremy. We're glad to have you on the panel here, where we're going to be talking about the customer experience. All right. So first up today, we're going to start with my man, Brandon. And Brandon, I have a question for you. I'm hoping you could talk to us a little bit more about what are some of the key elements to you of a successful customer experience, and how can businesses ensure they are delivering on those now?
Yeah, man, I'd be happy to answer that question. And we kind of brought this up earlier today, and I just think about how my business, where we're at today and where we started. And hopefully, and I would expect that everybody listening today has been in some kind of customer service role, or something to do with taking care of people. And I think that's how we started this business. Is that I have a business partner, and we started getting into the food business. And our priority was always to take care of people and make sure that even if our product wasn't over the top, which we do have a solid product, our customer service was. Because those are the people that you have to take care of. Those are the people that you need returning to your truck. And, I just actually talked to a restaurant yesterday, and he was telling me that he's a brand new. He actually just opened last month. And he said to continue to thrive, he needs to hit 70 to 80% of returning customers. So it's a pretty big deal, even in our business, whether you're a restaurant or a food truck. We travel a lot. We hit up a lot of different people, but those returning customers are priority. And so how you do that, you do it, like you said, based off your first initial contact. First impressions are everything. And so you got to have, if you're not working the truck, you have to make sure that you have someone with that great customer service capabilities, and someone that's going to treat customers, no matter like how much they're spending, and take time to prioritize their needs. And as a business owner, there's a lot of things that you can do to enhance that customer experience. From the very beginning, I think about keeping things simple. So like your menu, for example, that's the first thing that most people look at. And to me, we only serve like 3 to 5 primary items, like 3 really major items, and then we change the sizes, and then we add desserts and things like that as well. But our menu is very simple and it's easy to read. We got pictures on there. People eat with their eyes first, so it's important that when they look at that menu, they kind of know what they're going to get into. They fall in love with those pictures and they can see the prices and see everything like that. And that turns into the whole entire experience. So like once they get up to that truck and order, then how long does it take to get, or how long does it take for them to make up their mind? And you want to help them out as much as you can. So if you have too many items, you're going to slow down your entire process. You're going to slow down your line, and then that's going to make for an unfavorable customer experience. So the simpler the menu, the better. As soon as people can read it and understand what they want to order, and then you can get that out the window. And in my experience, trucks are built for different things, and that's what I love about this industry. It is fragmented, but it's also super versatile, and you can really target different events and have different focuses for your food truck. And we're in the fast casual industry where everything has to be super quick but have a very good quality. So our serve times are about 90 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on who's cooking and what the order is. So you really want to pay attention to your ticket times, because the person in front of you is going to take 2 to 3 minutes to get their ticket. But think about everybody behind them, and that adds up. And if you're at an event, like we do a lot of concerts and things like that, that can really slow things down. And, that's going to affect your reviews. And so that kind of brings me to that last point too, is reviews. So like you said, after you serve them, after they see it, you brought the customer in, hopefully you fed them a great product and you took care of them. Then you got to look at your reviews. And that's something that we take very seriously, is our reviews. I do have a habit of kind of not responding always to the positive reviews. You can check our Google and our Facebook. We've been going steady for about 3 years full time. We did start 5 years ago part time, but we really hit it hard about 3 years ago. And so we have like 120 Google reviews, and we have almost like 370 Facebook reviews, and we have reviews everywhere. And algorithms will push trucks with higher reviews, Google and things like that. So, and then a lot of people will make their purchase based solely on reviews. And so you want to make sure your reviews are top notch. And if for some reason we have an off day, which we always do, or maybe we have a new staff, or maybe things weren't done appropriately, or something happened, it's going to happen. The important thing is to always follow up with those negative reviews. And I always say, hey, I'm so sorry, this isn't typical of us, but how can I make this a 5-star review? So see if there's any opportunity to change their opinion, change their mind. And a lot of times that means going over the top. So it's not only like refunding them, like if the food was cold or something happened, refunding them, but I also make their next meal free to make that up to them. And so, we have a steadily almost 5-star reviews. Our average is 4.6 across the board. And so, we do take that into consideration, take that very serious. So from like you said, introduction all the way to serving them and follow up, you got to make that priority, taking care of your customers.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon, for sharing your experience and what you guys have been doing to optimize that customer experience. We do have a question here from Bernie. Bernie is wondering, how do you get people to do a review?
So what I do actually is I do like flash sales and flash things like that. And, I never ask for a 5-star review, but I do say, hey guys, if whoever leaves a review in the next, 20 minutes or the next 20 reviews gets a discount on food, or maybe a free dessert when they buy a wrap. So that's what we do to push it. And I'll do like a flash thing on our social media, like leave a review on Facebook, leave a review on Google. The first 20 people to respond and leave a review will get some kind of discount. And incentivizing that is huge. I get those, whatever that number is, I usually hit it within an hour and a half. So I have all those reviews building up. And then, so that's how I do it initially, just to get started. But then as you get more popular and more well-known, we just tell our workers to make sure people know where to find us and know where to leave reviews, and keep that consistently in their minds that, hey, if you had a great experience, please let us know on Facebook or Google. So that's one way to get it out. But to boost it in the beginning, I was doing a lot of incentives.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. All right. Going over to our panelist number 2, Tito. How are you doing, buddy? Got a good one for you. How can businesses foster a culture of customer centricity throughout their organization and get all employees to buy in to the importance of the customer experience?
Man, what a great question, bud. So I guess part of the answer before I answer, to say a quick story. So I started, I think 7 years ago, selling tacos from an ice chest on the side of the road. Didn't know what I was doing. Still probably don't know as much, but I'm learning every day. Basically I had some early success because of my beginning story, my origin story. Saved up, went to some events, and was able to buy my first food trailer. And I parked it at a gas station. I was just really well known up here in Vermont, in my local town. And so lunch would come and I would just get crushed. And I was the only guy working because I had no idea about hiring employees. The highest position I'd ever held in a restaurant or a food truck was a dishwasher. So wasn't very experienced there. And I had another local business owner who was in like tech. He did camera systems or something. And I've always been an avid reader. And he says, "Hey man, you got to check out this book called The E-Myth Revisited." So, I at that point I was like, whatever. He could have told me to freaking, swim backwards or whatever. I would have done it. I was just in so much pain. I had good sales, but I started hating my food truck because I worked every day. My day off, I'd have to go and deep clean the food trailer. And, I just wasn't enjoying it. So I read the book, and the book's good. It teaches a principle of working on your business and not so much in it, but it didn't give me like concrete answers. And it was kind of selling me on coaching. So I, there's a website or something like that. I went down the rabbit hole and I eventually found a coach and hired her. Her name was Yolanda, wonderful woman. And I remember telling her, like on our first coaching call, I'm like, Yolanda, I need to know processes and systems. I need to know how to hire. I need to know how to train. Like, you tell me that's the first thing we need to work on. She said, Tito, that's all good and great. But the first thing that we're going to work on is who you want to be at the end of your life. And I'm like, what? I mean, I just paid you all this money and I need processes. I need to hire people that can roll burritos. And, but again, I was like totally like half glass. It was empty, so I'm like, whatever you want to fill it with, fill it. So I had all these papers that I had to go through, and I basically had a picture of the end of my life and who I wanted to be. And and she said, you define what kind of husband you want to be, what kind of father, what type of brother, mentor, whoever in your life, before we go into the other parts of your business. And what that principle taught me was, who I am at home or who I am with my family is the type of person I'm going to show up to work to be. So if I'm impatient with my kids, I'm going to be impatient with my employees. If I lack empathy at home for my wife, I'm going to lack empathy for my employees, my customers. So that was just like a wonderful lesson. And in that, we eventually got to what's called the why. And this is like why I'm in business today. And this is our mission statement in Tito's Taqueria. We have 2 food trucks and we're opening our 3rd restaurant this year in a couple months. And our why, our mission is to encourage our customers in a way that creates loyalty. So it's such a funny question. And this is specifically like my mission statement at our restaurants and food trucks is exactly your question. Growing up, I was always told I was an encouraging person and I hated that. So you have so much potential and all this stuff. And it was just, that's kind of my spiritual gift. So connecting with people, my business was just built on that principle. Like I loved seeing people. I felt encouraged. They'd come and have good food. And, but the question, your specific question is, how do you bring in people that are going to uphold that mission? And that's definitely not as easy, especially as you grow your business and you're not working on the front line all the time and you're hiring people and you have store managers and you're not in the store every day. So the first piece of that is I would suggest defining a mission, determining like why a food truck? Why the food? Why that type of food? What's your connection to it? Is it a family connection? Are you just a foodie? Why are you in this industry specifically? Why'd you start your business? If you haven't started a food truck, you're at an awesome, opportunity to, go ahead and like empty canvas, paint it any color you want. If you already have a food truck, it's never too late. Sit down and do the work. So I'd first define your vision, your why, and your mission, and it always kind of ends up around the customer, because if we deliver for our customer, I call it consistency. But if we're consistent with our customer, it breeds trust. Trust breeds loyalty, and loyalty leads to money in the bank. So this is a beautiful kind of cyclical thing. So how we do it specifically for my business is our orientation. We have a 3-hour orientation for every, well, I should back up first. First, we hire for attitude and train for skill. So I can teach anyone how to roll a burrito. I've rolled a lot of them. But I'm not going to teach you the values and the type of person you are. That stuff's done with my 2-year-old right now, my 4-year-old daughter. We're doing that work right now. So we look for people that share our values, our company values. They come to our application process already displaying the type of values that we're looking for. And then we hire, we calibrate them on our culture. We hire them according to our values and our mission. Are you the type of person that's going to encourage our customers in a way that creates loyalty? How does that look like for you? And then we give them examples. In this situation, what would you do? And Brandon just brought up a beautiful example, and we do the same thing, but we like to overcompensate our customers when we make a mistake. We say, hey, I'd like to give you a coupon code. Not only is it making up, that mess up we did, but here's my direct email. Let me know how we did next time. I'd love to hear good, bad, all of it. So now we have an opportunity to hear back from our customers. And then we do the 3-hour orientation. So our store managers, our food truck managers are the only ones that ever orientate anybody that they hire. So every person that gets hired, you sit in front of them for 3 hours. We have a checklist and we go over everything. This is our culture. This is our uniform standard. These are our expectations. This is what encouraging our customers look like. Do you agree? Check yes. Okay, check yes. And so now the expectation, everything is set. So we have that. And we like to ask, hey, have you worked at other restaurants, other food trucks? How does orientation process compare? How can we improve? How have you seen other, companies or food trucks do? And we take from the best, we learn from it, and we just build from there. And then ultimately, we have a profit sharing kind of system that's all based on what's called a scorecard. And so I sit down with my store managers, my direct reports, and at the end of every 4 weeks, we go over, and one is specifically our culture. And something I wrote down, I heard one time is I actually wanted to share it, but your culture is between what you accept and don't accept as behaviors. So basically your culture is everything, is above everything you don't accept. And you hear all these things about, culture comes first, and you're like, what is culture? But culture is basically, if you're accepting the culture, you can talk back to a customer, you can, be rude to a customer, you can ignore a customer. Customer walks up your food truck, you don't greet them, or walks in your restaurant, you don't greet them. That's now a part of your culture. And as the owner of your food truck, of your business, you've got to lead by example. So I guess in essence, and then they get profit share based on how they're ranking on our culture, also other metrics, financial metrics, all that stuff that's objective is a little more easy to define. But I guess the last part I would sum it up is you've got to be an example worth following. So one of our 5 values is leadership, and it's defined as being an example worth following. But if I went in there, I actually get kicked off my burrito making line because I talk too much to customers and I slow down our throughput. So Brandon's like, yeah, get food out. I'm like, yeah, but then I see people that were on the side of the road, and it's just awesome to see that. But you've got to go in there, and I've got to lead by example. It's one thing to say, hey, we're all about encouraging our customers. We've got to have this, but and when I see it and I see it on display, I make sure that person knows that I see it and I appreciate it. One of our team members, hey, I just want to say how you handled that customer. Man, that was amazing. I appreciate that. And you just exemplified our mission. So every chance that I get, I bring up our mission and our vision and our values too, because that's all reinforcing. We have a weekly meeting with my store managers, and how we open the meeting is, how have you seen one of our values or our missions displayed this past week with what your team member or, anything like that. So we're always looking for ways to put that, into our meetings or our culture. So kind of a lot there. I hope some of that made sense, but thanks for the question, Max.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there, Tito. Because you just dropping bombs. I hope you guys are taking notes. I apologize for earlier. The chat wasn't functioning properly, but we got it going. So I see you guys in the chat. Give me a thumbs up if you guys like those last 2 answers. I mean, gosh, you guys are just dropping bombs. And I'm thinking, how many of us actually have those? What am I? So for Food Truck Beast, we call them laws of the jungle. Those are our laws. Those are the things that we abide by. And how many of us really have those outlined in our business? Even if you're a solopreneur, even if it's just you and your truck, or you and your spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend, or you and your kids, it is so critical to have those mission statements written out, because when I'm hearing Tito say, and we've had private conversations, and I'm sure everybody on the call would agree with me, I've noticed that the more defined I can make those things, the more clear I am on my core, the more I can attract people with those similar core values. And so as you're going out and hiring, looking for people with those core values, you have to know what your core values are. You have to live them, lead by example, and that's going to attract other people to you. Love it. Awesome, Tito. Thank you. Keeping things moving here. Panelist number 3 is going to be Jeremy. We're so glad that, Jeremy, you were able to join us. I apologize for technical difficulties. But my question for you is, what are some common customer pain points, and how can food trucks address them to improve the overall experience?
Yeah, Nick and Tito kind of touched on some of this already, but the biggest thing I see is I've seen a lot of food trucks that come out, especially new ones, that have these gigantic menus. And food trucks in general are a fast casual. People are looking for, a quick bite to eat. And not only does a big menu slow the operator down as far as getting the product out the window, but it also slows the customer down, immensely with, taking 20 minutes to try to look at this huge menu and decide what they want. And, my most profitable trailer has 3 items, like, it has been previously said. I think that's something that you'll see as, a common thread, that most of the super successful trucks that can get food out the window in, under a minute or under 2 minutes. My mac and cheese trailer, we can put an item out about every 19 seconds. So it's super, super fast. And I think that's the reason we've become very successful on a lot of the stuff that we do. Where we vend is a little bit different at this point. When I started 8 years ago, we were doing a lot of businesses and parking lots and that kind of thing. And now we're sort of focused on high leverage events, where we're going to a place that might have 20, 30,000 people in a day. So we have to be faster. We're constantly costing ourselves money. And I guess like the next part to this question is, what if pain does happen? Like, what if the customer does experience pain during their experience? And like Tito said, you really need to overcompensate if that does happen. I try to kind of play defense on that. If we're in an event where they're getting a lot of to-go items, where we're actually giving them a bag of food, I have thank you cards that we handwrite and sign with my personal cell phone on them that just says, thank you for being a part of this. If there's anything you think we can do better, please let me know. And you wouldn't believe how many great ideas, or just it's mostly positive feedback. Like, very rarely do I get a text saying, you could do this better, but almost always it's keep doing this, or we had a great experience, and that just, lets you know that you're doing the right thing. But yeah, if pain does happen, you definitely need to, I always give them their money back and give them a free item or whatever it takes. Basically, how I think about it is, and, I'm also a big reader. I don't know if anybody on here follows Alex Hormozy, but he's super, super bright guy. And something that he said that really hit me is, imagine that there's no social media, there's no Facebook, there's no Instagram. And the only way to build your business is for your customer to go tell another customer how great of an experience they had at your business. And that really hit home. And that's honestly what we try to do with every single customer. And it just, I don't think there's anything that can touch that. So.
Awesome. Love it, Jeremy. I'm so glad that you're able to join and be able to share that information with us. Man, 19 seconds, that is fast. So yeah. Fantastic job there.
Right. So like, it's something that I focus on a lot, is what I call our IPM, which is our items per minute. And my barbecue trailer, 2 to 3 items is usually around 90 seconds. Mac and cheese, we can actually do about 5 to 6 items in right about a minute. It only takes about an extra 6 or 7 seconds to scoop additional mac and cheeses. So most of the time is honestly, if they pay in cash, that slows us down. But if we have a card customer that can like tap pay, I mean, it is lightning fast. And it's not that big of a deal if you're at an event where you're not, lined up. If it's just intermittent customers, it's not, you're not going to notice it. But if you're at an event where you're lined up 50, 60 deep for 8, 10 hours, if you're only taking money every 60 seconds instead of every 20 seconds, that's a big deal at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are here joining us, especially you new food trucks, Jeremy just dropped something for you that's a pretty big bomb, IPM. And so how fast are you able to get your food out the door, knowing that and having that measured? Jeremy's definitely an expert at that, as well as I'm sure all our panelists are, because that has been a key to success in any of the food trucks that I've been having the pleasure to talk to, is knowing how fast they can get their food out. So thank you, Jeremy. And our fourth panelist is Nick Spindell. Nick, welcome. So for Nick's question, Nick, can you tell us, how can a food truck leverage technology to enhance the customer experience while still maintaining a personal touch?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, because technology oftentimes puts a barrier between us and that customer or that conversation that we're having, right? Like even texts, we're not face to face with that person anymore, right? So like maintaining that personal touch is absolutely important. But it doesn't have to be technology, right? Like if we just think about taking a number or using, your ticket pads that have numbers, a lot of times operators, when that food is done, they'll call that number. But if you even think about that, you can personalize that easily by taking that customer's name. And I see a lot of food truckers just use a number, and I see very few food truckers take a name, and then when that order is done, hollering, hey, Tito, hey, Brandon, hey, Jeremy, your food's ready, right? Something as simple as that is such a personalized touch, because who wants to be a number? I want to be a name. I want you to, see me face to face. And, that's the key, right? Like thinking about how can we personalize this experience. And what Jeremy said with the thank you cards, right? Like even we do catering and scheduling and events for food trucks. And when we get a client, we could just make that connection, and we could put the food trucks out there. We could, at the end of the event, we could just say, hey, brush our hands and it's over, right? But for every single client that we get, for events and catering and all, we give them, and this might not work for everybody, but we give them I think it's like a 5x7, little notepad, and it's embossed with WTF on there. It says, hey, we love you. And on the inside cover, I write a personal, just like Jeremy said, it's got their name in there. It's a personal note. Thanks so much for this opportunity. I even like to put a little quote in there. Like normally it's about partnerships or, working together or local businesses, stuff like that. Something like about support. Really customize every single opportunity that you can with a client or customer, whoever that might be. And then, something like our app, we have mobile ordering in the app, right? So that kind of technology would put some distance in between you and that customer. Instead of seeing that customer at the window ordering, having that conversation with them, you're missing out on that opportunity because they're ordering through the app. But I'd say two things. One, some people prefer to order through the app. A lot of people these days, especially like the younger crowds that we get, they might not want that face-to-face interaction. They might feel awkward. They might not feel comfortable asking questions about your menu items. So one, we want to give them the opportunity to order how they prefer, right? Let them order it where they want to, how they want to. But two, you can still customize that, personalize that experience in the end when they come to pick it up. You can say, hey, thanks so much for your order. I hope you enjoy these, this barbecue, this mac and cheese, this, these tacos, enjoy that. Come back again. Hey, what's your name? Oh, John, thanks so much for coming out. Here's your food. We hope to see you again. Thanks for using WTF or whatever it might be, right? Absolutely. Every single opportunity that we get, you got to customize it, personalize it. And, if you're dropping a business card into every bag or boat or whatever, something to say, hey, thanks. We appreciate your purchase.
Awesome. I love those tips of being able to personalize things. Can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but they said, something along the lines of everybody's favorite word in the dictionary is their name, right? Or everybody's favorite word is to hear their own name. And so using that principle in your efforts, I think goes a long way. Thank you, Nick. Lots of comments here. I appreciate you guys sending your questions. So we're going to open it up now. We're going to shift gears. We've gone through the panelists. We've asked them some questions. They've been able to speak a little bit, add their personal touch and their personal experience to those questions. But some of you guys, as you may know, as you've been registering, I've been interacting with you, sending you text messages, sending you emails, asking you to send in questions in advance. So I do have some of those questions, and we're going to start off with those. And then as we get through these questions, we're going to get to some of the ones that are in the chat. And so I'm going to pose the question, and then my panelists here, Nick, Tito, Jeremy, Brandon, if you guys want to answer, go ahead, raise your hand. We'll give you 30, 60 seconds to answer, and then we'll see if somebody else has anything to add, and then we'll go on to the next question. So our first question here is, what is the best way for a food truck to gain popularity other than good food and good service? So again, what is the best way for a food truck to gain popularity other than good food and good service? I'm going to put that in the chat. Jeremy, take it away.
So obviously, word of mouth is always the best advertising that exists, right? And I've kind of found like a hack for this with our social media. I see a lot of people that are like wanting to say how great their product is, but nobody really cares if the person that has the product is saying how great it was. They want to hear from somebody else how great it was. So we like to take tons of pictures during our events of people with our food. And then, like, for instance, and this is kind of going to lead into something else we're going to talk about later on, but we did an event that's about 4 hours away from our house, and we had no following there, right? But there was a big university there. It's a university town. So the first day of the event, I got some pictures with some university kids with their, university hoodies on, and we did a geographical social media boost just in that area. And it kind of gave us like street cred, even though that was our first time there. And we were so far away from our home base, we had a huge week that week, and we gained a following basically just by that picture. It showed them that there were people from that town eating our food, like-minded people like them, and it ended up being a phenomenal week for us.
I love that. That's definitely leveraging a little bit of technology and personalization. Kind of like what, Nick's question there, going to where that university was, getting a picture, interacting with the students, and then using that to blast the local area. Facebook ads. Love it. Any other panelists have a response for that question? Brandon.
I didn't know if you meant to raise my hand physically or digitally. So I raised my hand on here. Let's see if I can get it down. There we go. Yeah, man. So we talked about a little bit on this on our podcast. It was our marketing episode. And, what I found is that in anything that you do, we do a lot of events, with my app and things like that. We help people put on fundraisers and put on other events. And to find the most successful event, you want to advertise, but it goes further than that. It's advertising through the right channels. And you want to make sure that the people that are advertising for you are influential in the community that they're in. I think that's kind of the most important thing, is to find people that are influential in their community, have followings, because for people to follow your brand, like Tito was saying, trust and loyalty. Well, there's a lot of individuals out in your community that already have that. They have the trust, they have the loyalty. And if you can tie that into your brand, then they will also start having loyalty with your brand as well, a lot quicker. It'd be like introducing a friend to a friend. And so what I found out through this is influencers. So a lot of people go nationwide and they expand too far. And you really got to focus on the micro marketing, and work with influencers that are have an impact in that community. So what I'll do is if I'm in a new area that I've never been before, I will boost my post or whatever, but I will also find people that are influential in that area, and I will reach out to them and I'll say, hey, I love your profile. I see you got a great following. You got a lot of engagement. How would you like to try some free food on us? Give us a review, but also post it on your story. And then, so I'll utilize our food, and I'll incentivize it to people that are in the influential market and influencing marketing, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, I'm starting to experience a little bit more in TikTok, but that's what I'll do. Find an influencer that's in that community, that has engagement, that has a good loyal following, and then offer them some free food, offer them an incentive to post to their story. And then you'd be surprised. I think I get more customers from that than I do posting, throwing things at the wall and posting and just hoping that someone sees my ad and wants to come visit my food truck. So that's my advice, is use people in the community to help grow your brand.
I love that, Brandon. And there's an answer I want to give, but I want to hear your thoughts on how you're doing this. How are you going about and finding those micro influencers? Is there a certain audience or technique to that? Are you?
Yeah.
Because I don't think you're going and looking for people that have like 20, 30, 50,000 followers. What's your strategy there?
All right. So I told this guy I was going to charge for this advice, but I'm giving it to you guys, and it's on my podcast too. I just did the episode. So it's so cool. Like, it's funny because my business partner, he's a big Gary Vee fan. And, like I was already doing this, and he's like, hey man, Gary Vee said you should do this. And I was like, yeah, it works. And I was like, that's what we've been doing. So it's mainstream. It's some mainstream ideas. I didn't come up with it, I guess. But what I utilize is I go on Instagram or Facebook, and I will do hashtag searches. So I'm in Central Michigan, but say, I'm going to Central Michigan University. I'm going to do an event there. I will do a hashtag Central Michigan University or Fire Up Chips or whatever. So do a hashtag. It could even be a city. So it could be a city. It could be anything, but do a hashtag search, and then it'll bring up all the hashtags that are related, all the content that's related to those hashtags. And then you can find popular or newest. And then I look at the popular ones and see the ones that have the most engagement. And sure enough, the ones that have the most engagement consistently are the influencers in that area. So I do a reverse hashtag search, and you know what? That's like the easiest way to find anybody that's involved in that area you're going to. And it's like you said, it's so important to do micro instead of marketing. So hashtag, like if you're going to a small town, hashtag that small town and see what people are doing in that area and see who's active in that area.
Love it. Thank you, Brandon. Nick, you have some flavor to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to share, those are all great efforts, right? I think the simplest thing is just providing a superb customer experience, right? Like everybody's kind of touching on this a little bit here and there, but boy, if you blow somebody out of the water with that experience, they will tell their friend, they will post on this, they will be or become your micro influencer. They're going to tell everybody. And it's not easy to make that superb experience for everybody every day, right? Making good experiences is typically the average, right? Taking it to that next level and great. And then if you're slow enough, you got a customer out there and you can maybe grab their food, walk it out of the trailer, hand it to them personally, not through that window, or sit down with a customer as they're eating. If it's like a solo customer and they're eating right in front of you, you can sit down, ask them, like really build that relationship. Superb experiences really is just a free and easy way to do that too.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you, Nick. All right. Our next question is, what's the best route or way for a food truck to go? Let's see, it's worded a little funky. So what is the best route for a food truck to go if seeking to visit nearby states, i.e. doing a food truck tour? Do you guys have any advice for someone who would be interested in doing a food truck tour and leave, their home country or home state, I should say, their home territory?
Yeah, I guess I'll jump in. Our food trucks are used a little differently. So we've got 2 food trucks, and the way our model works now is we move 1 food truck in the town that we want to open a restaurant in, and we let the data speak. And so if the sales warrant it after a summer or a year, really look for 4 to 6 months of data, then we open a restaurant there and we build the brand while we're there. And people love that story, food truck to restaurant. People just really latch on to that. The other one is mainly events, community events, and then wedding caterings. There's a lot of money in that. And since we have a brand that's so we don't do a lot of events and festivals anymore, but I definitely got my start that way. And since I live in Vermont, one of my restaurants is in Vermont, and then 20 minutes south of that is a restaurant in Massachusetts. So right over the border. And then from Brattleboro or Vermont to the right of that 20 minutes is New Hampshire. So we're basically in 3 states within 20 minutes. And so I definitely did a lot of colleges, events and food trucks and jumping over the border and things like that. It's not a Mexican joke. I am Mexican. I hope that's okay. I'm just kidding. Sorry, too far or not far enough. So it's been kind of easy for us. A lot of times these nearby states will take our current health department license for our state that we're currently in. We just reach out directly to the town or city that we're going to be in. We contact the local health department. And many times if we're doing a festival, they'll say, hey, we'll come out, we'll check your trailer, but it's never been too complicated for me. And that might just be because I'm up in the Northeast and our states are so close. But yeah, I mean, I would just recommend reaching out to festivals. Usually they're very helpful with what you need to, in their application process. Definitely reach out to the towns, because in Massachusetts, there's towns that want you to get a temporary license just for that one event. And a lot of times you have to factor that into your costs, because it's not always cheap. Everyone wants a little bit of that money. But yeah, that's been my personal experience with going to different states.
Awesome. Thank you, Tito. Nick, you got your hand raised.
Yeah, I just want to second what Tito was saying just there. I was going to throw it in, then he said it. A lot of event organizers will have this streamlined for you. So they might have an umbrella license or permit or something that you don't have to jump through as many hoops to get there. So, when you're doing festivals or events, always ask the organizer first, hey, like, do I have to get the license? Do you have that license or permit already? Like, what's the process that you've already worked out for us?
Great point. Great point. Thank you, Nick. Jeremy, you were going to jump in.
Yeah, I'm actually getting ready to go to. We're not getting ready to, but we just got word that we got into a huge event in Florida in next year in February. So that's about 1,600 miles from home. So that's a long way from Pennsylvania. But the one thing I think that can help these people who are looking to do kind of a multi-state tour is just to make sure that you're, number one, obviously make sure your food's good. You have a premium brand, but try to make sure your packaging for your food is branded. Especially if you're new and you're going to, I'm assuming these people are going to go to events that have multiple other food trucks at them. It's just the way that your stuff can really stand out. Even if there's another truck or multiple trucks that are selling more than you, if you have something that looks different and there's people walking around eating it, like our branding is black and white, which in our industry, a lot of the events I do is super different. Everybody has very loud, bright colors. And that Brody's boat it really stands out when they're walking through a crowd. You can imagine if there's a sea of generic red and white containers, and then you see one that's black and white, your eyes kind of automatically, or another color, it's just different. And I think that can help people kind of gain traction, pretty quickly, especially when they're far away from home, nobody knows them, and they're in an event with multiple other vendors. Having branded packaging, honestly, was such a game changer for us at large events. It's helped so much. And then another thing that does happen is once you become successful, everybody tries to copy you, right? So that also helps with with people trying to knock your stuff off. They know where it came from whenever they do see something that looked really good.
I love that. Thanks, Jeremy. Great advice. I hope everybody is taking notes and learning a lot from this. I see the chat going. If you guys think getting a lot of value out of this and you want us to do this again, I'm thinking about doing this maybe once a month, every 4 to 6 weeks. If that's something that you'd be interested in the chat there, go ahead and write yes. So I know that you guys are getting value out of this. Look at that. Thank you guys. I'm glad you're learning. We got some more questions here, so we're going to move on to the next subject or next question. And this is a big one. So we're going to try and do it quick, but it's a big question. Tito, you talked about this a little bit in your earlier question. And this goes to, how have you been able to find reliable employees? So I'm going to tee this up a little bit. The question is, how have you been able to find reliable employees? I think the first step is knowing your core values, having those written down so you can attract the right kind of people into your business. But once you have that, how have you gentlemen been able to find reliable employees?
I mean, I'll jump in if no one wants to go.
Let's go, Tito. Shoot it out.
So one of the most important things, a lot of people, it's very obvious that we have a brand as a restaurant or a food truck to our customers. What we forget is that we also have a brand as an employer. And that brand, especially in small towns, gets around to people. How was your experience working at that food truck? How was your experience working at that restaurant? So it's important if you're doing, any training for hiring to remember that you have a brand as an employer, how you treat your employees. Profit sharing has done us very well. Core values has done a lot of positive things for us. But none of that matters. And this is why I didn't really answer the marketing question, because I'm kind of learning a lot about marketing myself. Because one of the principles I live by is internal growth before external every time. And so I've had to learn with some friends that are in marketing that there's a lot to be learned and marketing and leveraging technology and all that fun stuff, because I latch onto this internal growth. And what I mean by this is, if you're the owner of your food truck, you're the person that everyone's going to look to, and you've got to ask yourself, are you the type of person that you would want to work for? And actually, I'd suggest you don't ask yourself that, ask your spouse that or your friends that, because they're likely to tell you the truth. And so it all starts with who you want to be as a person. And if you go to work, you're impatient, unkind to employees, greed, selfish, all these things come up, and we're all a work in progress, but you really got to take a long, hard look, because everyone's going to do what you do and not what you say. So I would leave it with work on yourself, try to become the best version of yourself every day. And when you make a mistake, like we all do, own it and apologize to your employees. And then always remember you have a brand as an employer. And what that means is, am I understanding for my employees' needs? Do I share in their successes? And one of the things and I'll end here so other people have a chance. But when your food truck has a successful event, or it's awesome reviews, all that stuff, your employees get all the credit. When it doesn't, and you fail or you fall short, it's your lone responsibility as an owner. So it's kind of a good principle that served me. But
absolutely, that comes down to being a good leader. Great advice, Tito. Love it. I love that exercise you talked about. It's something I've done in the past, where in my entrepreneurial efforts, I've gone to family members, because they're going to be the most honest, right? And ask them, hey, what do you think of me? Be honest. And let me say, when you ask that question, you have to be really ready for the answer. And what I mean by that is, you have to be willing to take what they're saying to you and have an open heart, open mind, and internalize that, because even if it's not true, right? It might not be true. What they're saying might not be true. However, you are projecting that image. They're thinking that for a reason. So you're going to have to think about, okay, maybe I'm giving off this vibe unintentionally. How can I change my messaging to put out the right vibe to people? So I love that exercise, Tito, of going to a family member and asking those questions. We're getting short on time, so I'm going to move to the next question here, guys. And that is, how can I find corporate events during the week? So this question came from somebody where they're getting those events on the weekends. They're busy on the weekends, but they're looking to fill up their middle of the week schedule, and they want to get in front of maybe businesses or different corporations. So Nick, I saw your hand go up first, and then we'll go to Brandon.
Yeah, I'll drop. And I think Brandon's Foodies app does something similar, but use third-party bookers and schedulers and caterers, all these other sources that find leads for you. Fees are never fun, right? But whatever you can do it. Just make sure that the fees fall in line with your pricing, your budgets, your everything, right? But take all those leads, jump on to WTF and pick up a scheduling gig here. Get that catering lead over there. Roaming Hunger, Street Food Finder. Like, I'll throw out all the competition out there that we have, right? Foodies even, right? Like, use every single opportunity that you have out there. And then if you're going to go searching on your own, like if you don't have anything going on during the week, or Tuesdays slow or Thursdays are slow, whatever, I like to recommend food truckers to make a little sample plate, bring out, a hotel pan full of some mini burgers, mini tacos, something. Go hit up all the bigger companies in town, door to door, say, hey, I got a snack for you guys. Love to see if I can get in front of your manager, or would you recommend, or at least tell your manager about this? Here's a flyer with, what we can do, how often we can do it, some sample packages, blah, blah, blah. Make sure that you have your branding on point there. Make sure that you know exactly what your offer is and exactly what that call to action is, and have that on there. You know, call me, book here, you know, follow us, you know, ask for another, you know, come back for more samples, whatever that call is. You know, make sure that you're hitting those people. And the gatekeepers are good to get to, you know, the secretaries, the assistants, you know, maybe it's a security guy at a big office complex, right? Like, hit those gatekeepers and they'll pass that along to the managers.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Brandon, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it quick too, man. But yeah, WTF, that's a great one. What my app, what's great about Nick's app too, is that he doesn't charge a percentage. So try to, you know, I always try to stay away from percentages. If it's small flat fees, that's what I always go for. But I have a unique challenge. I'm in Michigan. So, you know, a lot of our trucks, I would say 90% plus are seasonal. They shut down in the winter, but I stay open primarily because of what Tito said too, and retaining my good workers. They want to continue to work with us. They want to continue to generate revenue. And if they aren't working, they're going to find something else or they're going to be laid off. So I honestly stay open all year long. So it does become a challenge to find events in the winter time, especially. But what I do during the week, if it's not event season or catering season, I like to work. Partnerships are huge. Like, I can't stress that enough. So I work with local coffee shops, local breweries. I work with places that don't have kitchens. So coffee shops are huge because they bring in a ton of traffic in the morning. A lot of times they aren't serving anything. So my lunchtime, I'm at a really busy coffee shop. At my dinner time, I'm at a busy brewery. I look for places that I can enhance other places' experiences and that we can complement each other. So that's what I'd recommend.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. Any last comments? Jeremy, did you raise your hand or?
Yeah, just real quick. So this is, I understand everybody wants to work as much as they can. One mistake I constantly see, even with upper level operators, is they're focusing a lot on what I call like low leverage opportunities. We're doing an event next week, and a lot of the times it's just asking the right question. Like, I'm going to a big university next week. It's about 40 minutes from my house. And they said there's going to be about 500 people there. And I said, well, can you prepay me? And they're like, well, the other truck, we're just, you know, they're just going to hand them tickets and then pay us for the tickets afterwards. And I said, okay. They said, but we really want you. And I said, okay, well, if you really want us, we need to get prepaid for the event. So basically that pizza truck at best is going to maybe get 100 to 200 tickets. We're getting prepaid for 500 people at $20 a person before we even get there. So, you know, number one, it goes back to building a premium brand, but a lot of times these corporate events, like, I have found that now we don't go anywhere. We just set up and hope to sell. Like, we only get prepaid pretty much anywhere that we go. And honestly, I found most people, they don't even ask that question. Like, they just assume that they're going to set up and the people are going to come out and they're going to vend. But so many of these places, especially like once you get into larger corporations, like we do Dan & Yogurt, Komatsu International, they'll prepay us for the entire staff. And honestly, maybe 30% of them ends up, 40% of them even ends up being able to come out and eat. And it's been a game changer, honestly. So it's just, you know, and like I said, I don't think most people even ask the question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's important. You know, my background is in sales, and it's super important that when you're meeting with the customer, you're taking that sales call, that you are asking the right questions in that call to qualify them and to really set up the expectation for the event. And so that's no different here. Thank you, Jeremy, for sharing that. So we are at 3 o'clock. It has been 60 minutes. So we're going to wrap things up here, but, you know, go through real quick. Want to say thank you, everybody who's attended. We do have some last bit of wisdom here, so don't drop off too quick. But before we get to that, I do want to go around to the panel again. Guys, if you can just quick give the elevator pitch of yourself, and for the people who are on the call, where can they find you if they wanted to reach out to you? We'll start with you, Nick.
Well, we are WTF, Where's the Food Truck? Download the vendor app. We have two, one for customers, one for foodies. Download the vendor app. click on get started at the bottom. We're a whole platform for the food truck industry. Anything that you need except for the food and except for the trucks, we got you. So reach out and let us know how we can help.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Jeremy.
Yeah, so I missed my intro, but basically I've been doing this about 8 years. I started out of a $99 tent, and we did just under $1 million in revenue last year. We're on pace to do probably about 1.3 this year. You can find me. I have a YouTube channel, The Food Truck Coach. We just started it, and the easiest way to get a hold of me is just Brody's Barbecue, Facebook or Instagram. I answer all my DMs pretty much instantly, so feel free to hit me up if you guys have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. And we appreciate you being here. Tito, where can people find you?
So if you're up in Northeast, Tito's Taqueria, we got burritos, tacos, salad bowls, whatever you want. I also have a food truck Facebook group called the Food Truck Academy. I have like kind of a consulting coaching program. I'm actually not going to be taking any more clients for now as we open up our third restaurant, because that's something that's always a little stressful. But yeah, it's Tito Garza on the TikTok and Instagram, and then Food Truck Academy on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you, Tito. And Brandon.
Yeah, so real quickly, you can find my app. It's Food Ease, FOODEAZE. We make all things food easy to find. You can download on the Android or Apple. There's a business and a consumer app. Business is black, consumer is green. Entrepreneur. So it's ENTREE, Entrepreneur Podcast. We're on pretty much all the main, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube as well. And then Nom Nom Ninja, our handle is Hibachi Wraps, and that's across the board. Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And like Jeremy was saying, I'm the guy that's always responding to messenger email, so you guys can hit us up at any time. It's a pleasure being here.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, panel. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Again, I'm Max. I'm the founder of Food Truck Beast. And Food Truck Beast is built, meant to be a community to help food trucks, leave average. No one wants to be average. You all want to be beasts. You all want to be the best that you can be out there. So that is what Food Truck Beast is about. You can go to foodtruckbeast.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at Food Truck Beast. And what we do, it's a community. And then we also have processes and technology that are going to help you guys become what we call food truck famous. Brandon mentioned it earlier, micro marketing, how you can become a local powerhouse and get your name built out there, and marketing. So a lot of you guys didn't even know you have been interacting with the Food Truck Beast software. That's how I built out those landing pages. That's how you've been getting those text messages. That's how you've been getting those emails. That's all through the Food Truck Beast software. And so that's what I'm doing, is I'm bringing that tool to you guys so that you can use that and leverage it to connect with your customers. So if you need to shoot out your schedule to your customers, you can do that by a touch of a button. You don't have to compete with anybody on social media. You can get right into their phones, right into their email. So you can do that for pushing a schedule. You can use that for getting reviews, lots of different use cases. So that's Food Truck Beast. Again, thank you for being here. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate my panel. Let's throw a quick fist in the comment for the panel. We got Brandon, Nick, Tito, and Jeremy. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for making this happen. And thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget, unleash the beast.